All right, let's dive right in. In this explainer, we're tackling the brilliant core idea from Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. We're going after a problem I think we all know too well. That feeling of being swamped all day, just busy. But when you finally clock out, you look back and wonder, did I actually get anything important done? Well, let's fix that. So let's start with a feeling that is just way too common. It's that frustrating cycle, right? You feel like you're running on a hamster wheel all day long, checking off a bunch of little things, but you never actually feel like you're moving forward on your biggest goals. That, right there, is the illusion of achievement. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're answering emails, you're jumping into meetings, you're putting out little fires all day. Your to-do list looks packed, but that sense of real meaningful accomplishment, it's just not there. If that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place, because we are about to change that. Now, it is so easy to blame the clock, to just say, there are not enough hours in the day. But here's the thing. The most successful people on the planet don't have more time than you do. Not a single minute. They're just absolutely ruthless with their priorities. See, it's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things.
And this brings us to the central and honestly, totally unforgettable metaphor of this whole philosophy. To get truly, deeply productive, you first have to identify your frog.
So what is a frog? Well, your frog isn't just any old task. It's that one big, challenging, maybe even a little intimidating thing that you know will make a massive difference if you just get it done. It's that big project, that tough report, that difficult phone call. And it is almost always the very thing you keep pushing off to tomorrow. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly illustrates the core idea. Don't stare at the frog, don't walk around it, don't think about how gross it might be. The key is to tackle it first thing, no hesitation. Just get it over with, and I promise you, the rest of your day will feel like a victory lap. This chart right here shows the huge difference between two ways of working. Over on the left, being busy, that's reactive mode. You're just clearing small, easy things to feel like you're doing something. But on the right, being effective is proactive. You intentionally start with the one single task that delivers the most value, even if it's hard. One leads to burnout, the other leads to breakthroughs. And this whole idea is backed up by a classic concept, the Pareto principle. You probably know it as the 80-20 rule. It basically says that about 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. Think about it. In any business, 20% of the customers probably bring in 80% of the revenue. Well, your frog, it lives right inside that critical 20%. The secret to high performance is finding that 20% and pointing all your best energy right at it, instead of getting lost in the trivial 80%. Okay, so we get the what. We need to find the frog and eat the frog. But how? How do we actually put this into practice? Let's dive into the practical, actionable tools you can start using literally today. Think of this as your daily recipe. First, you need crystal clarity on what you want to achieve. No vague ideas. Then you write down a plan for the day, and not in your head. Get it on paper. From that list, you identify your number one most important priority, your frog. And hey, if that frog looks way too big, you just break it down into smaller, manageable bites. And please, don't ever think that planning is a waste of time. The return on investment is just massive. The book highlights a simple rule. Every single minute you spend planning saves you up to 10 minutes when it comes time to execute. That is a 1,000% return on your time. It's one of the best investments you can possibly make. Here's a really powerful tool to help you prioritize. So often we get trapped in that urgent and not important box. Dealing with other people's emergencies. But truly effective people, they spend most of their time in the important, not urgent box. That's where your frog lives. It's the strategic, forward-thinking work that builds your future, and it requires you to plan for it. Okay, creating the right environment is totally non-negotiable. You have to use your peak morning energy for your frog. That means your phone is off, or better yet, in another room. All your notifications are disabled. You're not multitasking, you are single-tasking with intense focus. And then, when you're done, you give yourself a reward. This actually trains your brain to associate finishing hard tasks with a positive feeling. Now, this whole method, it's not just about task management. What makes it so incredibly transformative is the deep psychological impact it has on you. Let's explore the mindset shift that happens when you actually start your day by eating the frog.
When you finish your biggest, most important task first thing in the morning, it creates this powerful, positive feedback loop. It builds momentum that literally carries you through the rest of the day, making you feel capable, confident, and completely in control. You know, every single morning, you're presented with a choice between two paths. On the left, you eat the frog and you enter a virtuous cycle of success. You feel great, which motivates you to do even more. But on the right, you put it off and you fall into a vicious cycle of failure, where that guilt and anxiety just drains your energy, leading to, you guessed it, even more procrastination. You know, success isn't some giant single event that just happens. It's built brick by brick through the small, disciplined decision you make every single morning to just do the hard thing first. Over time, these small daily wins compound into massive, absolutely life-changing results. So, we've covered the why and the how, but you know what? None of it matters without this final, most important part. This is the call to action, and it's designed to get you moving right away. You can watch 100 explainers just like this one. You can read a dozen books on productivity, but nothing, absolutely nothing, is going to change until you act. That gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it, that's where most potential just goes to die. The goal here is to close that gap for you right now. So I want you to actually pause and think about this for a second. Seriously, what is that one thing? Not the easiest thing, not the quickest thing, but the single most impactful thing you could do. Identify it, maybe even write it down. That is your frog. This is the only question that matters now. You know the what, you know the why, and you know the how. The only thing left is to decide. So, what's it going to be? What is the frog that you are going to eat first thing tomorrow morning? Decide on it now and commit to it. That one single decision can change everything.